All right, so we are live. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn we're going to need a bigger bottle episode.
Hello, everybody. This is one of your hosts, Corey Pepper, and I am here, as always, with Paul Packler. Welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties.
I'm dancing because I'm trying to keep myself interesting for the audience because we have a hot new member of the show, a visitor. We're bringing in our own Andy Keaton.
It's Logan Pepper. That is Logan Pepper, the infamous 14-year-old son of mine, who is sitting in because number one, he's taller than Scott.
Funnier than Scott.
Funnier than Scott. He's taller than Scott. He's funnier than Scott. And he looks like Henry. So I think there's a lot of questions that we have to be raising today.
Absolutely. Logan, say hello. Tell the audience about yourself as much as you want.
Yes.
Hi, guys. I am Corey's son, Logan Pepper. Don't worry, I'm the better Pepper.
There is. Trust me, there is a better Pepper.
Right.
Logan is...
By the end of the show, we'll put up a poll saying who is the better Pepper.
Which is the better Pepper, undoubtedly. And Logan is on summer vacation right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
And is about to go and see Finding Dory in about an hour and a half or so.
Cool.
As most of America appears to be going to see Finding Dory this weekend. The numbers are ridiculous.
Wait, Logan, are you in high school now? Are you going into high school?
I'm going into high school. I just culminated from 8th grade.
Whoa! Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I hope to culminate at the movies, if you know what I mean.
Oh, it's one of those movie dates. We'll be Finding Nemo and finding other things. I don't, yeah.
Unbelievable. So, listeners, if you're playing along with us, as Scott always says, and I love to quote Scott Jones, this is Season 3, Episode 22, entitled Cold Storage, which refers to one of the two predictable plots in this show. Yeah, they had two predictable plots in this show, both of them equally predictable.
Wait, Corey, I have to disagree because the one plot was totally predictable, the Mallory and Skippy plot. However, the fact that in the opening scene they say we're going to Grandma's house and then they never go.
Grandma's house.
I never would have predicted that.
But the minute they started the bullshit about the Lamaze reunion, which I couldn't believe. I was like, my mouth was hanging open. That was one of the breaks I had to take, was when they said, oh, but first we have to stop off the Lamaze reunion. I had to think, wait a minute. That was about 4 or 5 episodes ago. There was a Lamaze reunion with David Paymer and that other couple, and they weren't funny and they weren't memorable and it wasn't written well, and there's no reason to have a character arc or character story, and yet they brought them back for another episode?
And they didn't even bring back the woman that Alex was in love with.
That was my whole point. The whole point of that episode wasn't the Lamaze group. They were there as the backup singers to Alex and the girl he was in love with. And now here we are, stuck with an episode about the backup singers, not the stars of the show.
Yeah. Now, Corey, you've taken Lamaze classes, right?
I have taken twice, yes.
Have you even talked to the people that were in your Lamaze class, let alone had a reunion with them?
I couldn't tell you a face, a description. There is no memory. Now, we're talking, 14 years ago and 28 years ago. But I have no memory, no recollection of anybody in the Lamaze classes. No.
It's the most asinine plot line I've ever seen. And that's the thing. And that's the thing that I wanted to get into quickly at the outset is usually you have a bottle episode. And what that means is you have two characters typically who get locked in a room because the show has run out of money and they're trying to save money on sets.
Yes.
And so what they do is it's because of economics, but ultimately it's a show that you do somewhere later into your run and it helps put two characters who normally don't go together or have a great chemistry together, and you want to explore their relationship further. So it's actually a great technique that you see in a lot of TV shows. And then in this episode, oh, go ahead.
I don't know if I've ever told you the anecdote that I once heard Steve Levitan from Modern Family say, that he told a group of people that he would very often at the beginning of the season, especially if there's two characters who they have not explored a relationship with, who've never had a storyline together, what they'll do very often is they'll put every character's name on Modern Family in a hat, go over to a writer and say, go ahead, pick two names out. Go ahead, pick three names out. Go ahead, pick two names out. Go ahead, pick three names out. And now everybody's got a character. Go write plots. Go ahead.
Wow.
So it would just be, let's just mix it up. We're having too many stories where grandpa is with the two older grandchildren, the two female older teenage grandchildren. Let's do one where he's spending more time with his actual baby son than with his teenage grandchild. You know, they have to just switch it up sometimes. I just think that's a very clever way of doing it. When you have a lot of characters, you need to explore relationships you've never explored before.
Yeah, and it makes you think, you know, it's such a cliche, but out of the box. You're forced into a situation where you have to rationalize, and from that restriction of being like, you have to do these two characters, you come up with such inventive things you never would have.
Now, in this episode, of course, we're stuck with Skippy and Mallory locked in a basement together. And it doesn't exactly pan out in the most positive way, except foreshadowing the very end, where once again Justine Bateman can do no wrong.
Yes. I was just happy that it didn't go into a scene about sexual assault. I was just like, oh my God, Skippy's in the basement. This is not going to end well.
I thought he was going to go in for a kiss at one time, and it was like, oh, this isn't going to work. Nope, not at all. Thank God they didn't do that. But we start the show off in the living room, and Mallory immediately has a By the way, here was another little plotlet that they totally missed. The first thing Mallory says is that she has to write a paper about the Louisiana Purchase, and Alex informs her that it is not indeed about a retail store in New Orleans, that's not what it's about. So they make this joke that she has to write a history paper about the Louisiana Purchase. That's how they end up in the basement, because Alex says that he's got a trunk of his old high school work in the basement, and that Mallory should go down and look at the work. Now, where I actually thought it was going to go with Skippy and Mallory is I thought he was going to coach her on writing the paper.
Yeah, I mean, that would have made so much more sense.
I thought in some stupid-ass way, he would actually inspire her to write a very good paper using Alex's notes about the Louisiana Purchase, and then that would have been the success and the awe moment at the end, instead of the stupid chipmunk costumes that we ended up with.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is like, they squander the whole bottle dynamic in as much as it's just constant, like, usually in the first act, you have the two people constantly trying to get out, and then the second act is that they're angry together because now they're stuck, and then by the second into the third act, you find them finding some commiseration or some sort of like détente where they learn something about each other, and that
very often, yeah. Sometimes they gang up against somebody else, and there's safety in numbers. You know how two people, we will bond together because this person is more evil than either of us, or sometimes people bond together because they like each other. But there's always some reason they find some common ground.
But in this episode, they squandered it by just the whole time trying to get out, and then in the last 2 minutes, they have like this conversation about how they're both outsiders, and it makes no sense.
And they dangle the plot of the history paper.
Well, I will say Louisiana Purchase is 8th grade material.
It is. So, okay. So
I was going to ask, I didn't want to be Paul Packler and be like, so Logan, what do you know about the Louisiana Purchase? But Logan, what do you know about the Louisiana Purchase?
Purchase, Lewis and Clark, all of that, exploring the Midwest. That's all 8th grade.
Boom.
See? American history. But they also say that Alex is excited about going to Grandma's house. Why? Jennifer's excited because of the cable TV. Alex is excited because Lisa Tobin lives next to Grandma.
Good old Lisa Tobin.
Now, she was on the show, wasn't she?
No, she wasn't. No.
Have we mentioned her name ever before?
Never, ever.
Okay.
In fact, do we even know which grandmother this is supposed to be?
No, we don't. We don't know whether it's Grandma Keaton or Grandma
Mrs.
Bernie. Yeah, Meredith Bernie.
Right.
So they're excited, cable TV, and of course Dad comes downstairs with his arms full, and here's the first time I wrote down my recurring theme of this episode. It's funny, before the episode started, Paul, I wrote a list of things that I was going to tick off how many times I would think things. So I wrote down the words kill me, shoot me, oy vey, orange juice, and my new addition is seen it before.
Oh!
I just wrote down, just seen it before. And the minute Dad came downstairs laden with everything for their vacation and holding a baby seat in his hand that was filled with everything except Andrew,
right.
I immediately ticked off, seen this one before, the where's the baby joke. Wah, 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 wah.
Used to great effect a few years later in Home Alone.
Yeah, a whole movie about where's the baby.
No, wait. What is? Let me ask you. Let's go back for a second. What is oy vey? What if you're going to define it for the purpose of family ties? How does that differ than shoot me and kill me?
Turn it off.
See, oy vey is more of me, almost like wine. It's the Jew. It's my inner Jew coming out.
Okay.
That shit, wine. Like, I don't want to watch this anymore. Shit is way more aggressive than violent.
Yeah.
But oy vey is just, please make this stop. And of course, in this episode, I actually never ticked off any of the other things. Kill me, shoot me, oy vey, or orange juice, because we never, I did.
Nope,
sorry. That Logan just noticed. There is an oy vey. Sorry. But this was the first time it was just good. And of course, then they go right from we're leaving, we have everything packed, to Mallory, I can't go, I have to stay here and write my paper. Mm-hmm. So we get a lot of Alex and Lisa Tobin talk, and then Stephen has to explain to the children why they have to go to the Lamaze reunion. And his explanation, although they tried very hard to give us an explanation, certainly doesn't cut it with me. We remember that episode. They weren't interesting. That's all.
No! And I was so excited to see David Paymer because of Crazy People. I love that movie. And so I was when he came on screen that first time, I was like, oh, he's going to be a great character in the show. Mm-hmm. And it was just awful. And this was worse. This B plot, this Lamaze party B plot is worse.
And so the family leaves, Mallory is left alone, and there's not even a 3-second pause before Skippy walks into the house without knocking through a back door. He is indeed a stalker. There's no doubt.
They should a restraining order.
Even with my best friend, I don't just walk into their house. And they're in so many different shows and movies, the best friend just waltzes on in. Feels like, hey, I'm here. Where's the food? That's never happening in real life.
Never.
Did you ever watch Doogie Howser, Logan, where he would...
Yeah, climb to the window. Like, what?
The Max Casella part. He would just climb to, hey, Doogie, I'm over here right now.
Hey, Doogie. Hey, Mr. Hauser. Mr.
Hauser. Hey, dude, don't kill anybody. Do no fucking harm, okay?
I'm gonna sell some papes, dude. You're a doctor. I'm a newsie. Hey, oh.
This is the episode in where we perform our homage to Max Casella.
Right. That's what this episode needed.
Max Casella, who actually didn't he also do some good work in The Sopranos? Wasn't he? He had like an arc for a while in The Sopranos.
He
I think he did.
He was
I looked
Chris's
him up.
friend?
Yes, he was Chris's friend. Yes.
Okay.
Anyway, so Mallory's alone. Skippy's with her. He's stalking her. And Skippy says that he will watch and help her get Alex's archive down in the basement. So we cut right now to the basement set. And all I wrote down for this entire scene was, can't imagine what's going to happen here.
Yeah, the Ramones wrote a song about it. Daddy, I don't want to go down in the basement.
Just can't imagine what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It was, wow, they got locked into the basement together.
Now, did he lock her in there?
Well, as it turns out,
Later they say, you locked me in.
right, but later they also explain later on, I don't know if you were in the room for it, but later they explained that nobody was locked in.
No.
You're gonna open it.
Skippy was too stupid to know that you have to push instead of pull or something.
And he didn't try. He had a 50-50 shot of getting it right the first time, and he was too lazy or stupid not to try the other option.
I think he was more just like, oh well, I mean, I'm trying. I can't get out. I might as well make the most out of
Well,
this.
it could have been that Skippy did have an ulterior motive. It was.
Yeah. Oh, we're on this abandoned road and we're out of gas. What are we gonna do? And then the arm
That's
just goes like that.
That's a shame. I can keep you warm. So, as if that scene wasn't interesting enough, we cut to the Lamaze reunion. And
No, wait, Corey. I feel like for that segue, it should have been. Now, if that scene was too interesting for you,
now we cut to the Lamaze reunion.
The Lamaze reunion seemed more of an intervention to me than any conversation that was actually going on. Yeah, it seemed like there was something happening there.
Well, all I could say is this show must stop hiring twin babies. The insert shot of more fetuses on this show over the last 3 weeks. It's like, sweet God, what is it? Any Screen Actors Guild that still has they're wet behind the ear with the lanudo, with the hair that you're born with. You know, when children, you don't know this. Kids are sometimes born really hairy, like hair on the face.
I was. I'll post my baby picture for this week when this episode goes up.
Were you were born with hair on your face?
No, not my face, all over my head. I was repulsive.
Did you ever lose your hair?
I think so, it just Here, wait, I'll see if I can find it. I'm gonna look for the picture.
Yeah,
I was bald until I was 2.
3. He started school. He had no hair still.
Oh my God!
Great, we loved it. We were like, I remember us thinking, "Oh, I'm really gonna miss it."
That's so much hair.
And you swear to me you've never performed in the national tour of Flower Drum Song?
Or the tea? What is that? That tea house thing? That
Yes,
Marlon Brando. Yes.
Well, they have to stop hiring babies. That's all I have to say. Jennifer is watching the Playboy channel with Alex. But she wants...
What is going on? That Alex goes to someone's house and wants to watch porn.
Unbelievable. I don't understand it. And it's not even real porn. It's the Playboy channel.
Yeah.
And Jennifer wants to watch the hockey game. No, of course she's not a lesbian. No, she's 12, and she wants to play sports with all of her friends and watch the hockey game when she has 138 channels. Of course she's not a lesbian.
And she kind of looks like this redneck folk who drives a truck to me with the overalls,
yeah.
hair,
They
whole outfit.
do countrify her a little bit, make her tomboy-ish.
Yeah. That's like her uniform. Like Alex has a tie. She always has these overalls that are ridiculous.
And the next note I wrote down is something that I knew, especially right after I heard from you today that Scott wasn't going to be with us today. And it was something I knew that you could totally relate to. And I can safely say, having a 14-year-old sitting next to me, when babies cry, it sucks. You must hate it not having children.
Oh, it's the worst. When I'm on the subway.
Oh, a subway.
When I'm on the subway and there's a baby crying and I don't have these in, I get so angry that it's just the noise. It's just the noise. And that the parents just let it keep going, and I can't deal with it.
Because there is that, there's that parental conundrum that sometimes you're supposed to pick up a child and comfort them, especially if they have a need, whether it be for warmth, comfort, food, water, pooping, changing, whatever. But a lot of the times, there is nothing you can do. They're babies. They cry.
Right.
And that's the part that I never was able to quite get. It's so irritating to me when babies just cry. That doesn't make me a bad person, does it?
I mean, or at least as bad as me. So I don't know.
I mean, I had 2 of them. I went through it, but I still don't like babies crying.
But damn, I don't think it's just irritated with the baby's crying. It's just me talking.
You can
Just any noise coming out of my mouth.
Okay, shut up. Do you need changed? What's going on? And you're like, I'm 14.
Excuse us. I have to go change my son.
He's talking. I need to go change him.
Mm-hmm. And then they come back. Alex and Jennifer come back in the room, and we've discussed this week after week after week. There's nothing uglier than a 20-year-old brother and his 12-year-old sister arguing at a friend's Lamaze reunion about what channel they're going to watch. It just seems so ungracious on both of their parts. They're old enough not to argue with each other.
Yeah, they're old, or they're so different in age and what you would think their desires would be as people that I just don't even understand why they're associating with each other.
Yeah, and really, they didn't have 2 television sets. One of you couldn't go into the living room. One couldn't go into a bedroom and watch 2 different things.
2 television sets? You must be rich. That's from Back to the Future.
Well, why can't they just switch off? Like for 20 minutes, we can watch the hockey game, and for the other time, we can watch the Playboy channel.
Which would you the Playboy channel?
What?
What would you rather watch? A hockey
If the
game?
Playboy channel was on ice, then I totally watch that.
Okay, but what if it was just the regular Playboy
Just
channel?
regular, serious consideration.
Okay, they have very good interviews on the Playboy channel, by the way. Remember, I hosted a show on the Playboy channel. I've told you that story.
No, I didn't hear this.
Oh, you've never heard this? Which, by the way, somebody found me about a month or so ago.
Oh, yeah.
And sent me a link to
his Playboy channel hosting shtick.
I hosted a show called
Oh, get it right now.
The World's Wildest Office Party.
Strip party.
The World's Wildest Office
Office
Strip
Strip
Party.
Party.
Hold on. I got to tell you, it's on the app that you're going to want to... I know. The app you're going to want to go and download so that you can watch this is called Break.
Break.
It's called Break. And then do a search on Break for The World's Wildest Office Strip Party.
Oh, my God.
Hosting a bunch of strippers. But here's the PS to the whole story. They found me at a comedy club, and they booked me to do this. The morning I had this booking to film this was the morning I found out my ex-wife was pregnant with Griffin. So it was like I was aglow. I found out I was going to be a dad for the first time. And we had tried for about 6 or 8 months.
Okay.
So I found out that morning and then went and hosted this strip show.
Is that why you're so happy?
Yeah, well,
He was the happiest, most energetic person I've ever seen.
well, I was younger, son, and I wasn't quite as bitter as I am now. That's
amazing.
That's all of our listeners should just go and find Break. It's on your Roku devices as well as the channel. You can actually watch it on your Roku, your Apple TV. You can download the channel, or you can just download the app, which is what I did. Watch.
Amazing. Give us the title again.
The World's Wildest Office Strip Party.
Wow.
Yeah, it's quite significant.
Oh, it's pretty spectacular.
You know, we are at the act break, so we should probably...
On that note, I think everyone wants to take a second to go check out the app, so go do that, and we'll be right back. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. I hope people are watching right now, because that I want to hear. If you're watching, please tweet us and let us know that you went and got the app for that.
The show is It's so awful. It was, it was a period of time where there was a market for hardcore sex stuff, and then there was Playboy Channel, and it was filmed for the Playboy Channel, but they hired a producer who did a series of these very soft strip shows. And, it's basically your topless strip show. Nah, they're bottomless too.
On the show they are?
Yeah.
And I will tell you how I found out about this. He said, "Hey, son, come over here."
That's the most choreographed thing I've ever heard. Yeah, I could see that happening. Sure.
Well, Paul,
Want to see your old pawn, Playboy?
I promised him whores a long, long time ago, right in front of you. So
Yeah.
I had to finally. Now that I thought, it wouldn't kill him to see these whores.
Because Logan, we came back from Vegas. He picked you up. He was so happy after a weekend with us schmucks. And he picks you up, gives you a hug, and he goes, you're like 2 or 3 years old, and you're like embarrassed to see us. And he goes, "Logan, my son, one day I'll take you to see whores." It was amazing.
Love you, Pop.
I will. Only a few short more years, maybe about 4 years. 4 years for the kitty bars and 8 years for the bottomless ones.
Oh my God, I'm crying. It's like I'm watching an Arthur Miller play right now. Oh.
It is. It's beautiful. Okay, go get ready.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're back in Act 2 here, and we're back in the basement, and of course, Skippy couldn't be on an adventure with Mallory without somehow or another finding a pith helmet to put on his head.
The pith helmets never don't look ridiculous. Like, I've never seen it in a movie or anything when it's not to show what a moron the person is.
It's just always, it's like Rufus T. Was it Rufus T. Firefly? Was he the pith helmet one? Or was it Linus Spaulding or Captain Spaulding who wore pith helmet,
Right. And what was the other, in Spaceballs, when Dark Helmet has a huge pith helmet?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I write down for the scene, I really don't remember what happened in the scene at all, but I did write down so predictable and yet so unfunny. And then there's something to do with a cup of soup. Oh, that's right. Skippy has food for them. He's got a cup of soup, but he didn't figure that you need hot water for a cup of soup. But there's a hot water heater for the cup of soup. You can see where this is going, can't you?
Of course. Dead people can see where this is going.
Exactly. There's no heat. There's no light now. The lights are gone. Oh, fix the lights. Oh, now I broke the lights. I broke the hot water. I don't have a heater. I don't have a lighter. We don't have any air. The window's jammed open. It's cold. It's snowy. What are we going to do?
In college, we had an apartment that was this old house. And our apartment was sort of in the basement of the house. It was like a 3-story old house. And so the bathroom in this basement that we all used to shower in was repulsive, and it had a window that was broken open. So when it was 0 degrees outside, we had to close the bathroom door constantly, or else our entire apartment would be freezing. And in the morning when you had to take a shower, you would turn the water on, let it heat the entire space, and then go in. Yeah, so.
Wow.
I feel their pain.
Yeah. Oh, actually, we had jumped on that. This, I believe, is actually the end of Act 2. I took so few notes in Act 2 that I'm shocked that that's all I have room for here. But we start in the basement again here at the top of Act 2. They're trying to figure out how to work a fuse box, and all of a sudden, they make a smart joke about Mallory, which I can't figure these guys out.
Yeah.
Why make a? You've done all your best this season, knocking her down and making her seem like an idiot. And now, but compared to Skippy, it's a status thing, probably. Compared to Skippy, Mallory is smart.
Exactly. But you know what? That's the thing with Skippy, is that we never know if he's smart or dumb. He's goofy, but I feel like it would be better if he were a nerd as opposed to just like a spaz. Like, I feel like if he were constantly so bookish, that would be more interesting. At this point, I just don't know what he is besides in love with Mallory and a goof.
And so we cut back here very quickly to the reunion, and we find out what we knew before they started this reunion plot, and that is people who take Lamaze classes together have absolutely nothing in common other than the fact that their vaginas put forth children within the last couple of months. That's the sole commonality that they have. And so we have a very uncomfortable, unfunny scene where nobody's saying anything interesting because the baby's all napping.
Like, I mean, being a parent, Corey, I'm sure that, like, as, you know, when Logan was a small child, he had friends. You would hang out with his friends' parents, like that there would be like play dates or whatever, and the people that you would meet, you wouldn't necessarily have anything in common with, right?
That is correct. And then you find your child becoming better friends with the parents who you connect with more, because ultimately it's always a very selfish thing. You want to go and hang out with the people who you want to hang out with. So you become friends. Your kid becomes better friends with the people who are, you know, nicer to you.
Right. Like. So wait, you were like steering his relationships. You would be like, "Oh, Timmy, I heard him say some stuff about you when you were in the other room."
That's exactly right. You're controlling it. We should probably go over to Wyatt's today. And then Logan goes, you know, like, look, why Wyatt? I want to go over to Ben's house. And like, nah, Wyatt's parents have good snacks. Yeah. Also, you know, they want to go to the house that has the best Capri Suns, the best.
Oh yeah, fruit punch.
Fruit punch. Mm-hmm.
Totally.
It's true.
Yeah.
So after this final reunion scene, we're back in the basement again, and for some reason, and I don't know why, they find in the trunk chipmunk costumes. Elise and Steven's insistence is going on chipmunks for Halloween. Is that what the explanation was?
I think so. Yeah, that they had gone to a Halloween party. I think yes.
Mm-hmm. 1 year they were chipmunks for Halloween, and that's where they find it.
Mm-hmm. The appropriate nut joke.
Not the appropriate nut joke. Appropriate nut jokes.
There were a few of nut jokes.
Of nut jokes.
But never the good ones that you want.
No. Never that are memorable enough for me to quote right now and think, wow, that was a funny nut joke.
And then I also want to say, if Skippy really wanted to get with her, I'd say offering, oh, do you want to wear my jacket? Might be like a more sly move than let's wear these chipmunk costumes.
See, now that's the difference between a spaz and a normal kid. Is that, okay, if you're thinking, okay, maybe, here, why don't I take off my jacket and put that on you, wrap that around you? That would be sort of a suave, nice thing that we've seen in movies. But no, we don't get that. And we end up with sort of Mallory sort of takes care of Skippy during the scene in a way. You know what I mean? That she sort of takes care of him and sort of lets him know that she knows that he's well-intentioned and he's not a bad guy, and this wasn't the worst experience for her. It was for us, but for her, it wasn't the worst experience ever. And she, as always, pulls the scene off. Justine Bateman, very sweet scene with Mark Price. Thank God he didn't mug through the end of the scene. It was nice. It was controlled. It was sweet. It was sweet.
Yeah. And that's the thing I want to say again about bottle episodes. The lessons that we're learning about Skippy through the eyes of Mallory, that he's an okay guy and blah, blah, blah. We've seen this countless times in 3 seasons of shows. And so with the bottle episode, you want to learn something new. That's the whole point. Like, I feel like the high watermark of a bottle episode was in All in the Family, where Mike and Archie get stuck in the basement, and it's so cold in there that they get drunk, and in order to stay warm, and they end up talking about Archie's dad and Archie's dad's racism. And it's this really amazing scene where you learn about how Archie sees himself and how much he loves his dad and how he has trouble with feelings and emotions and conflict in a way. And it's one of the top 10, I would say, episodes of TV of all time. And this episode you can see the parallels in what they're trying to do, and they just totally whiff, and it's really...
Getting locked inside of a basement, which is the same major plot point in 2 sitcoms with the exact same thought process. Like, if they can pull it off, we can pull it off.
Well, you'd like to think that they could pull it off. And yet, you know, my original thought of, hey, maybe if Skippy had taken out some of Alex's notes and found some notes on the Louisiana Purchase and helped Mallory to realize that she's a better student than she thinks she is, and Skippy would prove to her, wow, you're a way better student than I ever gave you credit for, then they would both be learning something new about each other that they have never learned before, as would we as an audience.
And they also could have pulled off, he could have pulled off the BS. This is an animal that they found on the Louisiana Purchase. They discovered so many new species here. And even that would be some knowledge or propelling the story forward from a former plot point.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. When you're writing, the end is always in the beginning. If you're having trouble and you don't know how to end something, or you're like getting lost in the writing, go back to the beginning. Everyone is a much smarter writer than they think they are. You just have to go back because you already have your answer. And it's like what both of you are saying. It's the Louisiana Purchase. It's her studying and the two of their relationship through the studying.
Mm-hmm. And it's so weird when they throw strands of spaghetti up on the wall and you see what actually did stick at the end of the week. You know, because it looks like, wow, this was a messy one. There was a lot of ideas, you know, from Lisa Tobin to the Louisiana Purchase to the reunion to the Locked in the Basement to the Chipmunks. A lot of ideas, and yet it never came together. The whole episode was just sort of a mishmash of spaghetti strands.
Yes, absolutely.
Once again, not an episode that I wanted to kill myself during. Not an episode that I hated, and yet an episode in which I think that they should have done better.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just would have cut out the entire family plot line. They leave at the beginning, and then we never see them for the rest of the episode until the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then
just leave us with learning more about Mallory and Skippy.
Exactly. I mean, it's real easy, guys. It's real easy. and the other thing is that oh shit! I just lost my note. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have absolutely nothing. I finished. I wrote down the last thing I wrote down was the word cute when they got home. So there must have been something cute at the very end of the show.
Oh yeah, when they came down into the basement, like, oh, you could have just opened it, and just like, oh, okay, thank you guys. And it was.
And they were walking out of the basement. It was just sort of wah 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 as they were walking out of the basement. I think.
You said wah 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 a little too much.
I'm sorry.
It's not a
It's our sha-la-la-la.
Yes, it is.
That's what I just remembered what it was. Those little moments when you have a flash of nostalgia, that when you first see Skippy and Mallory wearing the chipmunk costumes, I immediately remembered watching this episode as a kid. And it's just that weird thing where it's like, oh, I haven't seen this episode in 30 years. And it was just crazy.
Wow, that's funny, and it makes sense that would be the thing that you'd remember would be Mallory and Skippy and Chipmunk costumes, because that's really the visual. That's the only visual you take away from this episode.
Yeah.
Also, where was the baby in the last scene when they all come down into the basement? Like,
oh yeah, the baby was put to bed. There was some indication that although I thought the same thing, that there was, once again, you know how
no trace.
You know how they do that in every sitcom. It's like, who's watching the baby? You know, it's like, wow, babies are just sort of like taking care of themselves these days.
So it's like, where's Waldo, but with a baby?
Yeah, and Logan, you're totally on the right track. I would say the end is in the beginning. That should be the punchline for the whole episode is, where's the baby? They left it at the Lamaze reunion.
Lamaze reunion. Oh my God. We left it back at Maggie's house.
And that's when Lisa Tobin walks in holding the baby.
Lisa Tobin. Lisa Tobin comes.
The baby in one arm, a thing of condoms in the other, and she's like, hi, Alex.
Alex, sorry you missed out on this. Wow.
On that note.
Yes, you got some credits to read?
Well, oh God, I totally forgot to pull them up. Oh crap. But Corey, next week is our last episode of season 3.
And it's a 2-parter, is that correct?
Well, it's when it originally aired, it was 1 hour-long episode, so I feel like we're just gonna have to just do the whole episode in one fell swoop.
That'll be fine.
Are you going to be okay with that?
Yeah, I'll have to take more breaks. I'll have to watch it over a couple of days.
Do you think maybe you do half the episode and Logan do the other half of the episode?
I will tag out.
All right, I have it queued up. Are you ready?
Oh, really? I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay, so thank you very much for listening. Please rate and review our show on iTunes. For questions and comments, you can email us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at QTWFT for updates. I'm also at Paul Packler.
I'm at Corpep and Scott's at Follow Jones.
Logan, do you have a Twitter account?
Oh, where are you?
At Pepper_Logan.
At Pepper_Logan.
Boom. And then you can also like the Quality Time with Family Ties page on Facebook. We'd like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanbase Press. She's my sister. Fanbase Press is a comic book publisher and an online community supporting creators and fans through daily reviews, interviews, and podcasts that span the pop culture spectrum. They are at www.fanbasepress.com. Also, we'd like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs Family Ties and our theme song Without Us. Check out Perry's website, www.perryadams.com. Also, we'd like to thank Bryant Dillon, my brother-in-law, who created our fantastic drawing and artwork, as well as edits our show. Hi, Bryant. Bryant is the president and founder and co-founder of Fanbase Press. Follow him on Twitter at Comic Book Slayer. And then finally, we'd like to thank Sean Foster, Fanbase Press's graphic designer, for designing our logo. We'll see you next week for the conclusion of the terrible season 3. I'm so excited. So thank you very much.
Happy belated birthday to your sister, also to Barb.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Barbara! June 10th.
That's right. It was a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Bye.
Happy birthday.
Have a great week.
Enjoy the movie, and we'll talk to you all next week. Bye.
Bye.